Lovely. Welcome to Gosport Grit. My name is Leslie. Gosport Grit is a community podcast for Gosport, celebrating the great people, the great places, discussing some of the challenges along the way. And you may notice it's just me today. So Kirsten, Zoe and I are splitting off because we want to talk to people individually. And today I have the joy of being joined by the local legend, that is Dan Turner.
You give me imposter syndrome.
So joined by Dan Turner, who many people know runs the exceptionally popular bootcamp at Gosport Park. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you.
Pleasure.
We normally start with an icebreaker. Is that okay with you? So I'm going to ask you, would you rather give up your phone or your favourite takeaway?
Oh, that's hard.
It is.
I love food. I'm sure you can tell. I'd have to give up my favourite takeaway because I do everything with my phone.
Okay.
My phone's literally how I run my business.
Okay. And what is the favourite takeaway?
Oh, it depends what mood I'm in. Salt and grill probably in my house, or maybe your hands or something. Any sort of kebab shop. Yeah.
So it's good job we do exercise. So tell us a bit about boot camp. What is it? Where did it start? And how you got involved, really? So
it started in 2017 when I left the army. I got involved with it. It was purely by chance. I was a PTI in the army. I was posted to Borden at the time when it was a training depot. It was a phase 2 training depot for the REME. And I met my friend Gary Kennedy there, and he worked for a company called Forces Fit, and then we started working for them together, and then that business went a bit sour, and then all the clients, long story short, we ended up setting up on our own, and we called it Elements Outdoor Military Fitness, and we had that in Basingstoke, and at the time when we were still both in Borden, it was easy because it was an easy commute. Then when he left the army, then I left the army, he carried on, but then he franchised with Bootcamp UK. Okay. When I left, I kept the Elements brand and I did it independently for about a year. And the whole time, our friend Jace De Silva, who owned Bootcamp UK, was on at me like, you need to franchise because we're expanding. Eventually, there's going to be one in Gosport and I want you to have it. But at the time, I was too proud. You know what it's like. I was like, no, I can do it on my own. But then they called me in for a meeting and they were like, look, we're going to give you the franchise for free. You don't have to pay for it. We know it's going to turn over money. Can you just say yes? And I was like, okay, yeah, I did it. So, and you know what? I wish I'd done it. I wish I'd swallowed my pride and done it sooner. That's always the way with a great idea, isn't it? So, what is the premise of bootcamp to the uninitiated? It's outdoor fitness in all weathers. Okay. And it's all for all abilities. And I would say this to everyone who comes through the gate. It's all gauged so you train at your 100%. Everyone's welcome. There's this common misconception with it where people are like, oh, I don't think I'm fit enough to do that. And I'm like, if you were fit enough to do it, you wouldn't do it because you wouldn't need me because you'd be doing it on your own. Okay. Cool. And you go at your 100%. So if you walk, use an analogy, if I said to you now, do 1,000 push-ups, you'll probably go and just walk out the door. But if I said do as many push-ups as you can in 30 seconds and you do 5, even if they're on your knees, and that's your 100%, that's your 100%. If you could do 50, fine. And that's what I always say to people when they come to their first class. I say, have a look around. We got different body types, different ages, people carrying injuries. There's veterans. Everyone's on their own journey, but everyone's towards that same goal. And there's quite a sort of collegiate atmosphere. Am I reading that right? I don't think I've been. I may have been a couple of times a long time ago. Yeah. But is it like a sense of community? Big time. It's more than just a fitness class. I say this all the time. The fitness classes are only 60% of what we do. You become part of something. People come initially for the fitness, and then they stay because they feel part of a group, and they make friends. It's like an extended family. And a lot of the feedback we get is, particularly with, and I'm not the main demographic, but particularly with like middle-aged women, like mums of multiple children and, busy careers. I get this feedback all the time. They get to come down for an hour and they're like, for 60 minutes, I'm not mum. I'm not like teachers as well. I'm not Mrs. Smith. I'm Jane. Yeah. Jane who goes to boot camp, and that's me for an hour, and I can just forget everything. That sounds great. It's one of them. You make members for life, and because of all the extra stuff we do, like the events and everything, it keeps people in there. So you've got a great community. Yeah. You do run an event called Bootfest. Yes. So do you want to tell us about that? Yeah, Bootfest for Combat Stress. It started. Again, this just started out of nowhere. It was 2020. It was during COVID, and my friend Pete, a really good friend of mine, who owns Bootcamp UK Fareham and Waterlooville and Chichester, we sat down and we got together, and during that period we couldn't do anything. We usually run games nights, and obviously for obvious reasons you couldn't run anything indoors at that time, so we had to do something outside. And we were just sat like we are now, and we were just spitballing about ideas of what we could do. And then for some reason we just said, oh, we need to do something outside, and then we just went, oh, we should do a music festival. And then we laughed, and then we were sat there for a bit, and we were like, hang on, when we unpicked it a little bit, it was like, actually, why not? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. Let's give it a go. So we had to jump through a lot of hoops with the council, have lots of things in place, as you're aware, like the precautions and everything. And we managed to pull it off, and we got the licence in, and we did it. And we did that one, and it was so successful because everyone was desperate to do something because people had been locked up. And then off the back of that, we went the following year, sponsors come on board. Then we changed the venue to a larger venue. And now it's 7 years later, we're at Solent Airport. We had over 600 people there last year, and we're gonna break a 1,000 this year. And all the money raised from this festival is 100% non-profit, and it all goes to Combat Stress, which is a veterans PTSD charity.
So was there anything about combat stress, and why you were drawn to do this? Was there anything from your own personal journey that made you think this was a really important thing to do?
Yeah, obviously being in the army, I went to Afghanistan 2010, 2011. My experience was pretty decent there, to be honest. I got shot at a few times, but nothing compared to what some of my friends have been through. In particular, my friend Gary, who I spoke about earlier, who got me into the fitness game, he was attached to the Royal Irish, so he was a vehicle mechanic. He ended up as a rifleman in a rifle section purely because of numbers. So he was just a inventor for a 6-month tour, and he got the Queen's Commendation for bravery because of a firefight. But they were on a tour where they were contacted every day. One in particular where he got a citation for, he was on a rooftop and someone got shot in the face, and he was stuck on a roof for about 4 hours with people throwing him ammo up, just putting fire down on positions so they could extract the casualty. And that didn't affect him too much. But then about 3 or 4 years later, he got really bad PTSD, and to the point where he actually tried to kill himself a couple of times. And obviously that rocked me hard. And then combat stress saved his life, categorically saved his life. And if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be here. So that's why it's so close to my heart. That's why I do it. That's your driver. That's your determination. My massive driver, and it's worked because we won Combat Stress Community Event of the Year for 2025, which is a massive accolade for us. So very, very proud. It's my proudest achievement. I'm sure you can tell. I'm very passionate about it. It's my. I can feel the emotion. Let's talk about resilience. Yeah. So it's because I think sometimes our resilience comes from adversity. Yeah. Is there anything? So you're obviously in the army. Mm-hmm. What does resilience look like for you personally? It's getting your head down and getting on with it, even though that things are tough and they don't always go according to plan. Okay. It's like when your metaphorical backpack gets a bit too full, you just got to get your head down and persevere. That's what it means to me. Because you had quite a few tough years, am I right? Last year, yeah. 2025, I don't know how long this podcast's going to be. 2025 last year was probably the worst year of my life. We started off, me and my wife, for those of you that have seen Bootcamp UK, obviously we operate in the winter time as well. We use these portable floodlights, and they come with these lithium battery packs, and they're an amazing bit of kit. They're unmatched. I won't mention the branding just in case, but anyway, I use these portable battery packs to power them, and it was the last Thursday I had to use them because the clocks went forward that night. It was in March, so I charged them up for the last time. I left them on my dining room table. My wife is a beautician, and we got a salon at the end of the garden. She was down there with her mum because her mum does all the aesthetics and stuff. They were down there. I went to the gym. While I was in the gym, my phone rang, and she's hysterical on the phone saying the kitchen's on fire. And what had happened was one of the battery packs exploded, set fire to the other one. That one exploded, and the dining room chair caught fire, and then that just set fire to the whole corner of the kitchen. And because of that toxic, greasy lithium smoke, our whole house was written off. Everything, down to carpets and things in the wardrobes, And I had 2 bulldogs at the time, and thank God they got them out and they were across when I got back. So, yeah, I was trying to kick the door in when I got home, trying to get in there, trying to rescue them. But then I met my neighbour across the road, thank God, and had him in his house. So, and then from that, we had to move on to Kingfisher Caravan Park for 9 months. Sammy fell pregnant when we were on the caravan park. So I had a pregnant wife. We're living in a caravan with 2 dogs.
Kind of full, very full.
Yeah, and then not only that as well, like Kingfisher are amazing, but you get people that can return to Kingfisher every year and they book specific caravans and have done for years. So what we was having to do is we'd have to live in one for 2 months and then we had to pack everything up, move to another one because it was booked, and then pack everything. So by the time we moved back into our house, we'd moved house 5 times. And then when we were in there, Sammy was in a car accident where she got T-boned. Because of that, she was having chiropractor appointments at Gosport Chiropractic, and her chiropractor found a lump in her neck and they was like, oh, we need to get that checked for you, just go to hospital. So we went to Spain on holiday, come back, didn't think anything of it, went for what we thought was a routine hospital appointment. They found the lump. The doctor said, oh, we need to do a scan. They went and scanned it, and then he said, you know, I need you to hang around, so go down Costa and we'll get your results. And straight away my feelers started going up and I was like, they don't keep you hanging around in hospital for the sake of it, this is bad. But then she was none the wiser, and I was just trying to just screensaver face it, not make any fuss. Anyway, then when we went back upstairs, the nurse came out and she was happy and lovely, but I could just tell from her body language there was something wrong. And then when we went into the room, the doctor and the nurse were sat like me and you are, and where Annabelle is, there was another nurse, and she had the old I clocked the Macmillan cancer thing. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. And I just melted. And then, yeah, he said, I think it's cancerous. And it turned out that when they did tests, they took tissue samples with the, I don't know if you've ever seen that. My wife hates needles anyway, so to go from being told that to then laying down, and she was 8 months pregnant at the time, and she's having a stab in her neck and taking tissue samples anyway, and it was stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a type of blood cancer, and it was in her neck, it was in her spleen. Thankfully it wasn't in any of her organs, and it went in her femur, and as soon as you hear bone, you're like, you panic. But then I know now that there's thousands of different types of cancer. You hear the word cancer and you automatically think, oh my God, but there are ways to manage it, and the recovery rate of this particular type was really good. And Sammy's nurses, and she had an oncologist called Dr. Anne O'Callaghan at QA, who is a superhero. And I said this to you yesterday, you can slag the NHS off all you want, but when you're having a baby or you've got cancer, there is absolutely nothing better. And the treatment that my wife got was insane. So she started chemotherapy when she was 8 months pregnant, and they were really good to her. They let her, she got treated like a rock star because of her situation. So she was going through chemo with that. The first round was really successful. They come back and they said, you know, it's massively in remission, like you're doing really well. It's like the best possible outcome we can think of. Then we had Austin on the 2nd of January through C-section, because obviously she couldn't go under normal labour because of the chemotherapy, because of how weak it made her. But that was the hardest bit, was having that newborn stage, having that whole thing snatched away from her and having this dark cloud over it with the cancer. And then because she couldn't breastfeed, that was taken away from her as well. So that whole bonding period was tarnished with this thing.
This big dark cloud.
It was horrible, and it affected everyone. Like, because I was working in Marchwood at the time, which, if anyone's been on the M27 in the morning, you know what it's like. And I was having to do that drive literally every morning. I was trying to do all the nighttime feeds as well, because if you've ever seen anyone go through chemotherapy, it absolutely wipes you out. I've never seen tiredness like it. And she was new mum tired and chemo tired, so I was trying to spin about 5 different plates, trying to do everything. And I remember there was some mornings where I went to work and I don't think I even slept, you know, where I was trying to do that. So that's probably the most resilient time. After that as well, so she did the first round. Like I said, she was in remission, but it's like antibiotics, you have to finish treatment, you can't just stop. And it's like, you had a fight with cancer, it's on the floor, but you need to kick it in and make sure it stays down, you know, make sure it stays down for the 10 count. So she started the second round, but it gets more, the drugs that they use get stronger and
so
stronger.
Stronger effect on you.
And then obviously then she started losing her hair. Not as much as other people did, but it was enough that every time she was washing it was coming out in great chunks. And eventually it was so thin on top, and we had a discussion, and she says, I think about shaving it off. And I just said to her, look, like, you this is one thing that you can be in control of. And if you want to be in control of you deciding when your hair comes off, then you make that decision and you do that yourself. And she did. And obviously I can't even shave my head in solidarity because I'm already bald. So she just took it off. And she was eating like a 6-year-old for about 6 months on Dairy Dunkers and tea and biscuits. She got through it, but then once we had Austin, then one point when we went back to get the results, and I remember it vividly, and I remember it for the rest of my life. We went into the office, and it was like they couldn't even wait for the door to shut, the cancer nurse, to say, like, you're all clear.
Fantastic.
And it's done.
So completely gone.
Gone. She's all clear now. She was out last night at a boxing show. All her hair's come back. Really thick for some reason, and I don't know whether that's normal. And Austin's 15 months old now, an absolute thrive. But I'm a firm believer in the fact that if she wasn't pregnant with him, she wouldn't have done as well as she did. And when I think of resilience, I think of her, because she took all onus off of her own self, and she was like saying about me, this is about him. And that's what she was fighting for. I think if it was just about her, I hate to think about it, I don't think she would have done as well because of the severity of how much it had spread.
But she was fighting for her unborn child.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
No, that's good. It's good.
Quite emotional. So we go through adversity and it improves our resilience. I think that's what you're saying there.
Yeah.
So when we talk about communities and we talk about community resilience, how from your experience of the army, from your experience of boot camp, how does resilience look to you for our community?
I think it's having people to depend on and people to support you, and then in turn you support other people, and then knowing that you're not on your own with things. That's what the army is. And it's like you get a lot of people from broken homes that join the army because they've got nothing else, and they haven't had a family, and then they go, wow, I'm part of something.
Yeah.
And that's why you get so many people that are so successful from broken homes, and
they thrive.
They thrive because they're like, I've never had this before, and it's all new to them. I'm lucky. I come from I had a great childhood, and I can't ever knock mine at all. But then Bootcamp UK is the same. You get people that come along. I'm going to use him as an example, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, I had a guy called Chris, and his wife just out of nowhere, just one day, just decided that she didn't want to be with him anymore. They had children. They walked, and she just walked in and said, I don't want to be with him, or quick, snappy divorce, like everything, just his whole life just got turned upside down through no fault of his own. He came down to boot camp and he was really, really shy at first. And I have an app which shows me every new person that's booked on. And I'm like Rain Man with names and faces. I won't ever forget your name.
Okay.
And he turned up and I saw him booked on. He turned up and I said, oh, it must be Chris. How are you? I didn't think anything of it. Shook his hand. Then he came down again. And I was like, oh, Chris, you've come back. Nice to see it. And then you slowly saw him start coming out of his shell. And about 3 weeks later, he handed me an envelope. And he said, there's a letter in here. I want you to read it, but just read it when you get home. And it was just a long thing about, I was in a dark place. I didn't want to be here anymore. I saw boot camp, put it off for ages. I sat in the car on the road, not wanting to go in, but I plucked up the courage to do it. And you came over to me and said, hi, you must be Chris, and shook my hand and said, you do not realise how much I needed that. And I just pay lip service to that sort of thing. You don't realise how much it means to people. And with me, it's just a business. Well, no, it's not just a business, but it becomes you get so you're just on a train track and you're just going along, and it runs like a well-oiled machine. But you don't realise how much it means to people and all the branches off. But I've got a bit of a segue there, but that's
No, I think you're right.
That's the community resilience of it.
It is, and I suppose the other thing is when you're doing boot camp, it's quite physically demanding.
Yeah.
And not unlike when you're going through anything tough. So it kind of pulls the community together because they're going through an hour of beasting from you in effect.
Yeah, and anyone can go into a gym and put headphones on and get on with it. And I say to the guys, some of the stuff we make them do. And I'm not just saying this. I've trained soldiers. Yeah. I work for the Navy now at Salton in the PT spec. Some of the stuff that we make them do, we make trainee soldiers do, and they struggle. And I say that to them all the time. I'm like, when you're hanging out and you're blowing and you're struggling and you don't think you're performing, I was like, I have young 18-year-old soldiers that I've taken through this, and you're performing better than them. So give yourself some credit. And if I was to write out a workout and give it to you, if you were one of my clients, you'd look at it and go, I'm not doing that. But when you're in a community aspect, and you're in a group and it's on a whiteboard and you're like, ugh, you're all in it together and you think, well, Leslie's doing it, so I've got to get on with it and do it. And then by the end of it, it's over and you're like, wow, I've just done that. And that's what I was saying, that community thing is like, I think people don't give themselves enough credit. And I don't think they know what they're capable of. That community pulls that out of them. And we've got people that couldn't run 50 metres and now they're running the Great South Run.
That's amazing.
You know, so...
We'll put the link in showing how you can get involved in boot camp, how to ask the question, how to make that first step to walk through those gates of Gosport Park. But I was going to ask you, just to sort of wrap up, like your top tips, if somebody's like, what is the one top tip for people to do something in their day, one thing that will improve their health?
30 minutes cardio a day, or just a walk. I mean,
Okay.
NHS guidelines, I think it's 150 minutes of exercise, but either out of breath or sweaty.
Okay.
They say is really good.
So not dawdling, bimbling, but actually with purpose?
With a brisk walk. If you've got a dog, it's easy, because you probably do it already. And try and get it in the morning. I know it's hard, but try and get it in the morning. If you can get up and do something positive in the morning, the rest of your day flows so well.
It sets your intention for the day.
I mean, we used to have an initiative, and it's still going around the country. My mate Chris started up with and the name of it was "Win the Morning, Win the Day," and I think that's such a good phrase. Because you can get up in the morning, if you do a fitness session, you know, regardless of how bad your day goes, you've got something positive at the beginning. It's like making your bed in the morning.
Yes.
If you make your bed in the morning, you know you've done something positive. So my advice to anyone is just try and get up and get out for 30 minutes, even a brisk walk. If you live in Gosport, do it down the beach, because that's the best place to do it.
Cool.
And it's nice and breezy.
Top tip from Dan Turner of Bootcamp, Gosport Park. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. And I'd say you're one of those wonderful people in Gosport who help make Gosport a great place to be. So thank you for your time.